At 78, Barry Gibb finally tells the truth about Andy Gibb. Barry Gibb, born on September 1st, 1946, in Douglas, Isle of Man, is the legendary co-founder, vocalist, and songwriter of the Bee Gees, raised in Manchester and later in Australia. Barry formed the band with his brothers Robin and Morris, creating a musical legacy that spanned decades. Known for his unmistakable falsetto and brilliant songwriting, he helped craft global hits like Stayin' Alive and How Deep Is Your Love. Beyond fame. Barry's resilience after the loss of his brothers has cemented him as a symbol of endurance in music history, keeping the Bee Gees' spirit alive for generations. Barry Gibb's legendary music journey. After tracing Barry Gibb's humble beginnings and rise with his brothers, the spotlight naturally shifts to the glorious chapter of his career, the golden years of the Bee Gees and beyond. During the 1960s and 1970s, the Bee Gees reached the pinnacle of international success, first with melodic pop ballads and later as the undisputed kings of disco. Their timeless classics, such as Stayin' Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, and Night Fever, became cultural anthems, defining an era and solidifying their place in music history. At the center of it all was Barry, whose falsetto voice became instantly recognizable and whose songwriting genius steered the group's sound. His role as the creative leader ensured the Bee Gees' ability to adapt and remain relevant through changing musical landscapes. Barry's talents extended far beyond the Bee Gees. He collaborated with and wrote songs for some of the greatest names in popular music, including Barbra Streisand, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, Diana Ross, and Dionne Warwick. His ability to craft melodies that transcended genres allowed him to become one of the most sought-after songwriters of his generation. Across his career, Barry contributed to more than 1,000 songs, many of which dominated charts worldwide for decades. His compositions combined emotional storytelling with infectious rhythms, a rare gift that made his music resonate across cultures and generations. Recognition naturally followed. Barry, along with the Bee Gees, was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, honors that highlighted not only their commercial triumphs, but also their profound influence on the craft of music. Few artists have left such a deep mark on popular culture, and Barry's artistry remains one of the reasons why the Bee Gees' legacy endures. Even after the heartbreaking loss of his brothers Robin and Morris, Barry carried on the spirit of their music, performing and preserving the songs that had changed the face of pop and disco forever. Barry Gibb's brilliant career is more than a story of fame. It is a testament to resilience, creativity, and the enduring power of music. His falsetto voice, his gift for songwriting, and his ability to connect with audiences on a global scale ensure that his legacy is not confined to one era. Instead, it continues to shine as brightly today as it did during the peak of disco's glittering lights. Barry Gibb, Love and Family Bonds. Following the dazzling success of Barry Gibb's musical career, his personal life reveals a story just as compelling, one grounded in love, resilience, and deep connections. Barry's first marriage to Maureen Bates in 1966 was short-lived, ending in 1970 as the demands of fame and constant touring proved overwhelming. That same year, however, he found enduring love with Linda Gray, a former Miss Edinburgh. Their marriage became a cornerstone of stability in his life. Blessed with 5 children and many grandchildren, Linda and their family provided Barry with the grounding force he needed to balance the chaos of stardom with the serenity of home life. Barry's friendships were equally remarkable. He shared a close bond with Michael Jackson, often collaborating creatively and confiding about the pressures of fame. Their friendship extended beyond music, offering both men a sense of understanding in an industry that often isolates its brightest stars. Barry also maintained strong ties with other musical legends, earning respect not only for his artistry, but also for his loyalty and warmth, which gave him a unique place within the global artistic community. Another fascinating chapter of Barry's personal journey was his connection to the legacy of Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. In 2006, Barry purchased their historic Tennessee home, intending it to serve as a sanctuary for inspiration and songwriting. Tragically, the house was destroyed in a fire in 2007. Though he rebuilt the property, the emotional weight of the loss eventually led him to sell it in 2014. Still, the experience highlighted Barry's deep appreciation for cultural heritage and his desire to preserve the memory of those who came before him. Through all of this, Barry Gibb's personal life stands as a testament to enduring love, meaningful friendships, and respect for the past. His marriage with Linda remains one of the most solid and admired unions in the world of music, while his connections with fellow legends underline his role as both participant and custodian of popular culture. For Barry, family and personal bonds were not separate from his career, but the very foundation that allowed his music and legacy to thrive. Family tragedy. After years of finding strength in his marriage and family, Barry Gibb faced the most devastating chapter of his life, the deaths of his beloved brothers. The Bee Gees were not only a band, but a family bound by blood and music, yet fate was cruel. Maurice, the easygoing twin and musical backbone of the group, passed away suddenly in 2003 due to complications from a twisted intestine. Robin, the sensitive voice that often stood in harmony with Barry's falsetto, lost his battle with cancer in 2012. And long before them, Andy Gibb, the youngest of the family and a rising solo star in the late 1970s, tragically died in 1988 at just 30 years old after years of struggling with addiction and health issues. Each loss was like a wound that never fully healed for Barry. As the last surviving brother, the weight of grief was immense, leaving him to carry the legacy of the Bee Gees alone. He often spoke of the haunting silence after their absence. No more shared laughter in the studio, no more late-night writing sessions, no more brotherly disagreements that eventually led to timeless songs. The stage, once filled with the harmony of three voices, became a place of bittersweet memories. Despite the pain, Barry chose to honor his brothers through music. He continued to perform their songs, keeping alive the spirit of staying alive, to love somebody, and how deep is your love? For Barry, every performance became a tribute, a way to ensure that Robin, Maurice, and Andy would never be forgotten. He carried their voices within his own, transforming grief into resilience and keeping the Bee Gees' story alive for future generations. Barry Gibb's life is not only a testament to musical genius, but also to human endurance in the face of loss. As the last brother standing, he became the custodian of a legacy that began in childhood and grew into one of the greatest musical dynasties in history. Through love, pain, and remembrance, Barry has shown that while tragedy can take away those dearest to us, it can never erase their impact on the world. Andy Gibb, too bright gone. After enduring the painful loss of Robin and Morris, the story of Barry Gibb's family tragedy cannot be complete without facing the heartbreaking truth about his youngest brother, Andy Gibb. Among the Gibb siblings, Andy stood out not only as the baby of the family, but as a singer with a natural gift, a voice so pure and crystalline that many considered it the sweetest in the entire Gibb dynasty. While the Bee Gees conquered the charts with their distinctive falsetto harmonies and disco sound, Andy carved out his own identity in pop music, quickly becoming one of the most beloved solo stars of the late 1970s. His career, however, was as meteoric as it was fragile, illuminating the music world with dazzling brilliance before collapsing under the weight of fame, addiction, and inner torment. Andy Gibb's rise was nothing short of spectacular. In 1977, his debut single, "I Just Want to Be Your Everything," shot straight to number 1, a feat that instantly announced him as a star in his own right. Written and produced by Barry, the song captured Andy's angelic tone and his ability to deliver heartfelt pop melodies with youthful sincerity. His follow-up single, "Shadow Dancing," released in 1978, was even more successful, dominating the charts and cementing his place as a teen idol. With his handsome looks, boyish charm, and undeniable talent, Andy became a sensation almost overnight. His concerts attracted throngs of adoring fans, and magazines hailed him as the next big thing of American pop. For Barry, it was a source of pride. Not only was Andy his brother, but he was also a protege whose career Barry had carefully nurtured, offering him songs, production, and guidance. But beneath the shimmering surface of fame, Andy struggled with demons that few could see. Fame had come too quickly, and unlike his older brothers who had weathered the ups and downs of building a career, Andy lacked the protective armor needed to survive the pressures of stardom. Behind the smiles and the spotlight, he was deeply sensitive, longing for love, stability, and validation. His youth made him vulnerable to the temptations of the entertainment world, and soon he found himself entangled in a destructive relationship with drugs. Cocaine, in particular, became both an escape and a trap, eroding not only his health, but also his mental stability. Friends and family later described him as someone who appeared luminous on stage, but painfully fragile off it, a man whose heart ached for acceptance, yet was consumed by self-doubt and loneliness. Barry often admitted that he worried about Andy's vulnerability. As both brother and mentor, he could sense the cracks beneath the glittering exterior. He did everything in his power to support Andy, giving him songs, opportunities, and encouragement. But there was only so much one could do when faced with addiction. The relationship between the two grew complicated, especially as Andy's behavior became increasingly erratic. There were moments of joy and collaboration, but also clashes and disappointment. Barry, who had always played the role of protector, felt a mounting sense of helplessness as he watched his youngest brother slip further into despair. He would later confess to carrying a haunting question throughout his life: could I have done more to save him? The tragedy reached its devastating conclusion in March 1988. Andy, who had been attempting to rebuild his life and career, died just 5 days after celebrating his 30th birthday. The official cause of death was myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart brought on by years of substance abuse. For Barry, Andy's death was a wound deeper than any he had ever endured. Not only had he lost a brother, but he had also lost a part of himself, the baby of the family, the one he had tried so desperately to guide and protect. To make matters worse, Barry and Andy's last conversation before his death had ended in disagreement, a detail that haunted Barry for years. The mixture of grief, regret, and unresolved conflict left a scar that could never truly heal. For Barry, the loss of Andy was not just a personal tragedy, but a devastating reminder of the fragility of life and the dangers of fame. In interviews, he spoke openly about the pain, describing how the family was never the same after Andy's passing. He admitted that Andy's absence created an unfillable void, and that every success afterward was tinged with sorrow. Yet Barry also found ways to honor Andy, keeping his memory alive through stories, performances, and tributes. When singing Bee Gees classics or recalling the early days of his brother's career, Barry often spoke with a mixture of pride and sadness, pride in Andy's talent and sadness for the future that was stolen too soon. The truth about Andy Gibb is that he was both blessed and cursed, blessed with extraordinary talent and cursed by the pressures of fame and the frailties of his own spirit. His life serves as both an inspiration and a cautionary tale. For Barry, Andy's story is forever entwined with his own legacy, a reminder of the joys of family, the perils of fame, and the enduring pain of loss in carrying Andy's memory forward. Barry ensures that while the youngest Gibb's life was brief, his voice and his story continue to echo across generations. The meaning and legacy of Andy Gibb. After recounting the heartbreaking truth about Andy Gibb's short but luminous life, what remains most powerful is the meaning of his legacy. Though Andy's journey ended far too soon, his presence continues to live on in music, in family memory, and in the unbreakable bonds of brotherhood. His songs, I Just Want to Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing, still echo on radios and streaming platforms, reminding the world of his gift. For his fans, Andy was not just a teen idol of the late 1970s, but a voice of purity and emotion that carried hope, longing, and vulnerability. For his family, especially Barry, Andy is eternally alive in every melody, every lyric, and every story retold about his brief but brilliant time in the spotlight. Barry Gibb has often emphasized that love and family ties are forces that transcend even death. In interviews, he admits that although the pain of losing his brothers never fades, their connection endures beyond the grave. Speaking at the age of 78, Barry reflected not only on the truth about Andy, but also on the larger truth of life itself, that family is fragile, yet eternal. He carries within him not just grief, but a determination to honor the bond they shared. Every performance of a Bee Gees song is not simply a trip down memory lane. It is a tribute, a way of keeping Robin, Maurice, and Andy present in the moment, and ensuring their voices continue to touch hearts across generations. The meaning of Andy's story, therefore, goes beyond fame or tragedy. It reveals the vulnerability of human life, the dangers of success without protection, and the irreplaceable strength of love. Andy's memory has become a reminder that even when someone departs physically, their essence remains through the lives they touched and the art they created. For Barry, the legacy of Andy is not only about loss, but also about resilience, love, and continuity. His youngest brother's voice still inspires. His smile still lingers in photographs, and his spirit still fuels the family's enduring story in music. At its heart, Andy Gibb's legacy is a testament to the eternal nature of family bonds. The Gibb brothers' journey, filled with both triumph and heartbreak, stands as proof that while fame fades, the love that binds a family never dies. Barry's reflections in his later years give voice to this truth, that the story of Andy is not only about what was lost, but also about what will always remain, through music, through memory, and through love. Andy continues to live, a star that may have left the sky too soon, but whose light will never truly fade. What we can all learn after reflecting on Andy Gibb's life, his legacy, and the enduring love of his family, one final truth emerges. Behind every song, every moment of fame, and every heartbreak, there is always a lesson for us to carry. Andy's story teaches us that talent alone is never enough without emotional strength and support. Fame can dazzle, but it can also destroy if one is not protected by love, stability, and self-awareness. Barry's words about Andy remind us of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing family while we still can. The greatest lesson is that love and connection outlast tragedy. Success may fade, but bonds of compassion, care, and memory remain eternal. Andy's life, though short, is a testament that what truly matters is not how long we live, but how deeply we are loved and how powerfully we touch others. To keep Andy's story and many more alive, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more heartfelt journeys.